Hey everyone, I'm back. Your girl is back with another pod episode. And not gonna lie, my schedule with the pods has kind of been very spontaneous. Like I just film when I feel like it type of thing. But yeah, I'm happy to see you guys. And why don't we start off with some life updates since the last time I saw you guys? Okay, let's see what has been going on. So ever since the last time, I have been applying to physio places like physiotherapy clinics and seeing if I can work there or volunteer there or just be an intern. And I've actually heard back from like three places and I kind of have a connection for one place, which is epic. And so yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that. And if you want to stay like more up to date, obviously you know the drill by now. Check out my YouTube and be sure to give this pod 5 stars in Spotify or give it a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. It would be highly appreciated. But yeah, and then let's see, what else have I been doing? What else has your girlie been doing? So actually, I went out like quite a bit this week. I'm not gonna lie. I am a little burnt out, and I think that's what I wanted to talk about in this episode today. Just like not feeling my best, feeling super drowsy, feeling physically not feeling the best, and then also that being reflected mentally and emotionally as well. And so this week I had a great time. Like 2 days ago I went to downtown with my best friend to her university, and it was my first time exploring like her university, and she took me around, and it was a great time. But I was so socially drained from that after. Not because of her or anything, but it was just a part of meeting new people. And she felt the same way. Like we talked about it after, but just chilling at her place after and watching one day was super nice. And yeah, I think I've just been needing that like healing, recharging energy recently. And I think I've been pushing myself to be too much of the go-go energy, if you know what I'm talking about. And so yeah, I've been trying to channel that energy a little bit more. And today I actually went to the library with my sister and I did some calculus studying there, which is super random. But if you don't know, I'm starting life sciences at hello. Yeah, so I'm starting. Yeah, so I'm starting university in life sciences at UTSC in September. And so I want to get like a head start in calculus because I literally, guys, the last time I did it was in grade 11, and that was like 3 years ago because I was in IB. For you guys that didn't know, so we did grade 12 math in grade 11. And yeah, so it's been forever. I don't remember shit. And so I'm gonna try to review it just like 10 minutes minimum every day. And yeah, that's been something that I have been trying to get myself into. Because I don't want to struggle as much when I'm in my first year, because I already know first year is gonna be a struggle. nonetheless, and so I want to prepare myself a little bit more to put on less stress on myself, if that makes any sense to you guys. But yeah, and like I said before, I've been watching One Day, and right now currently I'm on episode 7, but by the time you guys will be listening to this episode, I will be done by then. And so let me give you guys my honest review next podcast episode, if I remember. And yes, I will remember, guys, don't worry. Comment below so I remember. um but yeah, so it's been good so far. I think it's, to me, it's really interesting because it's like white guy brown girl trope, and just like, you know, maybe skip ahead if you don't want to listen to some spoilers. I'll put up the timing here. Um, but like, he's so freaking hot, so hot, guys. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, his face is just scrum delicious. And she's beautiful. But I will say, me and Mahi were talking about this, my friend, and we are like, she is beautiful, but not to the point where it is socially beautiful, kind of. Like, I don't know if they purposely, deliberately chose her for this role. But yeah, and like the character that she just plays is like super sarcastic, jokey, like smart, that type of thing. And she's an half Indian girl, I think, and half white. But yeah, their dynamic is super interesting. Like, he's just that bloke that's like white, rich, stupid, just f's around with people, sleeps around. Yeah, it's really interesting, I think. And I don't think it's very similar to anything else I've really watched. Like, especially the cinematography is really interesting. And personally, I really like it. Like, it's different. And sometimes I feel like I'm third wheeling because I don't know what's going on. But that was just in the beginning when I was like out of it. But now I'm fine. And I actually really like it. Like, I watched 5 episodes consecutively. No, not 5 episodes, 3 episodes consecutively. And they're each like 30 minutes long, which is no pressure because your gal is a K drama gal, and I be watching 1 hour K drama episodes back to back. So I think I'm doing fine, with that. But yes, that is some media updates, some life updates for you guys. And currently I'm still applying for bursaries and scholarships for university, as I want to get as much money as I possibly can to help fund my education, to make it as free as possible. Because, like, not gonna lie, I want to use my own money that I earned for things that I want to buy for myself, like concerts, like cameras, like mics, like, you know, all of that stuff that I kind of want to do on my personal level. And I want my education to be fully funded. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. But yes, so let me know if you guys do have bursaries or scholarships. And this is actually a really good one. It's like a TELUS bursary, and they give out like $5,000. And it's like super easy application, like 20 minutes, and it's awesome. I got it last year and it was really nice. But yeah, if you search up TELUS bursary, it should come up. But if you do want to know more, text me on my Instagram or email me at kushali@gmail.com, and I will have it linked down in this description. But that was super random. But yeah. And on to that, let's actually get on to the topic of this episode, which I want to talk more about my mental health and kind of just, yeah, like what made me start therapy, what made me want to actually put in my money and put in my time to start therapy. And so I think you guys have already kind of heard this story before, but I want to give you guys a more detailed version of it. and just give you guys a more emotional and personal version of it, because I'm kind of going through it right now too. It's just one of those days. But yeah, I feel like if I filmed it during like a lower blip of my day, then I feel like it's just more authentic. And so please do forgive me if this is not the usual uplifting and supportiveness that you kind of want when you listen to my podcast or my videos. But this is just how it's gonna be, how real it's gonna get. So yeah, welcome to my inner diary, to my inner mind. So where do I even begin? Let me fix you guys more so your girl is more comfortable. Um okay. So not gonna lie, I do my therapy in this exact room in this exact position. So welcome to my therapy call, I guess. So I started therapy, I would say, around grade 11, like March ish. So it's been around 3 years since I started therapy. And the first year in grade 11, I did it through a free program for youth. It was a Canadian program, and I think it was run by Strides Toronto. It's called Youth Link. I don't know if they changed the name. But obviously, if you want more information, search it up on Google, or you can text me as well. I will let you know. Um, but yeah, so I did that for around a year, and then I did that in grade 12 as well, and I stopped a little bit in the summer here and there when I was feeling fine, because in these sessions you can only have like a maximum amount because it is free. It's like government to government funded, and so yeah, that's that. And so I kind of tried to save up my sessions, which gets a little bit annoying, but like it's what you have to do, you know. And then when I started university, that's when I really needed it. But obviously, I couldn't go back to my old therapist because I wasn't of age at that point, or I was, but it would just, I would have to be on top of the wait list. And yeah, it was just not a fun process. And so I actually looked for some therapists at Western University, but I just wasn't vibing with any of them super well, or the residents, counselors. And I even tried BetterHelp, and the therapist that I just got was not a perfect match. And yes, I could have changed for free, but I think at that moment I was so, like, I just needed someone. I didn't want to keep switching. And so I looked at so many physiotherapists online, and this was like November of last year, so November 2023. And it took me so long to find the therapist that I have now. And so far, I've had her for around 4-ish months now, and she's incredible. Her name's Alexia, and I love her so much. And yeah, but I think my journey with therapy started with me first going to like the school counselors in middle school, and that's when I first experienced anxiety, and I didn't really know what it was. I didn't know what anxiety even was. I thought it was just something that older people experienced, nothing that like literally a 13-year-old could experience, you know? And it's also super taboo in my culture because I grew up in a brown culture. And so no one really talked about it, even though everyone went through it. And now, in hindsight, being older and being able to open up to my family, my siblings about it, and realizing that they go through the same thing, it makes me sad but also happy that I'm not the only one. Even though this feeling sucks as hell, you know, it feels better when you're going through the pain with someone else with you. And so when I was in middle school, I felt super alone because I had this period of time where I would be perfectly fine for like 6 months. and then the other 6 months or a few months after, I would be shit dead faced in my bed, just crying all the time, not wanting to go to school, just wanted to stay at home, not talking to my friends at all. And at that point, like, if you were my friend, you would know, like, I would not be at school that very often. Then when I was at school, I would be like normal, so you wouldn't think anything was really up with me. And I didn't really want to talk to my friends about it because I was scared. Like, I didn't even know what it was called myself, right? And so at that point, I was just like, oh, it's just a hormonal thing, like it's a body functioning thing, which it could have been, right? But in hindsight, I know it was anxiety. And even my parents, like, they've never really dealt with this situation before, and so they didn't know how to handle it. And so we went to a bunch of Ayurvedic places, which is like plant-based medicines, and that kind of help you. Like, basically, it plays a similar role to like tablets or medication that you eat, but it's just plant-based, so it's like less side effects. And so we tried to do all of that. I tried to go on top of that medication, and nothing really ever helped me. And it was kind of just an on and off situation. And grade eight, it was pretty dang bad. Like, I was at home most of the school time, and yeah, I never really talked up about it. I kind of told my teachers that I was having health problems, and they understood because, like, literally 1 week I'd be super on top of my shit, and then the other week I'd be like asking for extensions, and it was super weird for me because I didn't understand it. And then school counselors are, let's talk about it. School counselors are not like helpful. Like, I'm sorry, okay, if it's like a school problem, like timetable situations, yeah, they're gonna help. But dealing with mental health, I think I just needed at that point like a professional therapist, like a psychotherapist, or to be able to go to a psychiatrist, which was really sad because I couldn't get that experience when I was younger. And I feel like if I got that experience when I was a kid, I would not have struggled as much as I did in my high school years. But yeah. And then I also went to my family doctor quite often when I was younger because I dealt with a lot of just anxiety and I didn't know how to deal with it. And so my parents, I'd be like, I would say, take me to the doctor, like, take me to the family doctor. Don't know what's going on with me. And my heartbeat would be super, super fast. And my mom would give me these different green juices, which I'm super thankful for. Like, my parents really did try their best with the knowledge that they did have, but I did not feel seen at all. And I know they loved me so much, but it was just something that was happening and no one could really understand me. And even my family doctor at that time, she was like an older generation. She's like my parents' age, so she didn't really understand me too. She's just like, everyone has good days and bad days, even though I've seen her like almost every week, right? And so finally, finally in grade 10, when it gets super bad, I go and see a psychiatrist. And at the point where I'm booking the psychiatrist appointment, I'm like down bad. But then at the time that I get the psychiatrist appointment, which is like in 2 months, which is a super long time for someone that is experiencing mental health problems. Like, let me tell you that. And yeah, but by the time I got there, I was in like that okay week period, even though I'm like a little stressed, not too bad. And then she diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder at that moment in time. And at that point, we weren't up for the medication, like, whole stint yet because I had such a preconceived notion of like, oh my god, what is medication? Like, I don't want to go on it so young. I've heard so many stories about it. And yeah. And so at that point I didn't start medication, and that was when I was like around 16. And so my mom came with me and we just talked about what I was dealing with. And she gave me a link to the therapy place, which was free. And so I signed up thinking, oh well, if I ever experience this again, maybe I'll have extra help. And by that point, I started watching Therapy in a Nutshell, her YouTube videos, which are freaking amazing for someone that didn't have any knowledge in this field at all and didn't know how to treat my anxiety and also depression, which I didn't know really that I had. Um, and yeah, so I just used that to self educate myself, and I learned a lot of skills from her. And I also used this app, which is called Clarity, I believe, before, and it's like a journaling app, and it's like super nice. It's like it is self, it has prompts, so it's a lot easier to answer stuff when you're new to it, but it just doesn't work for me now. But I think then when I did use it, it was super helpful for me. And it was like CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And so if you guys know like anything about it, you know that it's super science based and it actually works. And there's been studies that shown that people that have done CBT have had little brain changes in their structure of their brain, and your life changes so much because you're changing the way that you essentially the way you respond to situations, right? And so that was super helpful for me. And then after that, I started therapy, which was obviously a journey. Like, starting therapy was really hard for me because I don't know, I feel like it was really hard for me to talk about certain topics. And even to this day, it's so hard for me to talk to my therapist about some stuff. But just like 2 weeks ago, like I opened up to her about this one topic which I've never told any therapist about before. And obviously this comes with like getting comfortable with your therapist and being comfortable with yourself more and knowing that, oh, like no one's gonna judge you, you know? But even with like, I dealt with a lot of intrusive thoughts in high school where I would just be thinking about like, oh, I'm just like walking up the stairs, like what if I fall, stuff like that. Or it's just like my parents are going out and it's just like a random thought, like what if something happens to them, you know? And like this happened constantly in my brain. And so I was so scared at that point. What the hell just happened? I am so confused. Lol. Anyways, so I was so scared that my therapist would judge me, so I never brought it up with my old therapist before, because I was just like, my gosh, what if like I'm actually thinking those things? Like, what if I'm a bad person, even though I know deep in my heart I'm feeling guilty as fuck about these things, and I know I'm not a bad person at all. And so, yeah, that's just like one example. And I think over the time, I've grown so much more comfortable with my therapist. And it's also about the amount of time that you have with them, what age they are. And I think it's super important when you're looking for a therapist for them to fit your preferences. It's kind of like dating, even though your girl did not got experience in that. But like for what other people say, like dating on apps, like you have your preferences. So like for me, it was I wanted to have a girl. I want to have a female therapist because I just feel way more understood by women, and which makes perfectly sense. And I also would prefer someone of color, but to be honest, my first therapist was white and I connected with her super well as well. And so it doesn't matter too much to me as long as they understand and are willing to understand about the traditions and social expectations and things like that. But I know culture is really one big thing that a lot of like people that I know and like people I've heard talk about is a really big preference of theirs. Another one can be religion and also money as well. Because let me tell you guys, therapy is not for the cheap because holy cow, it's expensive as hell. But it's worth it at the end of the day. Like, I think if you're at university, you're paying for your tuition, you're paying for your medical plan. And in that, you usually get around like $1,500, $15,000 for to cover therapy. And so that's technically, girl math, free money. And so might as well try it, and when you have it for free, and see if you really like it. And so when you do finish uni, or you're off and you actually want to like pay out of pocket, or you want to use insurance for half of it, and you want to pay half of it out of pocket, like, you'll know that it's truly worth it then, instead of like now, you know? And it's always better to start off when you're younger. I wish I started this when, like, in middle school, when I first started experiencing anxiety. But yeah. And so, if you guys are wondering, my therapy that I go to right now is around $80 Canadian. And so, that I'm paying out of pocket right now. And like, some of you might be like, oh my gosh, that is so much. What the hell? But this is the lower amount of therapy. And also, personally, for me, it was super necessary for me in November to have. And at that point, I didn't have insurance covering me anymore because I did drop out of university. And so at that point, I did have to pay out of pocket. But I had saved up some money over the summertime. And so I was doing okay financially in that way. And so, yeah, I decided to pay out of pocket. And like, I used to do my sessions every week, but now I do it every 2 weeks, so bi weekly, just because I feel like I don't need the weekly sessions anymore. And I would like to use that money and save it up to eventually invest or use it in some other shit, or buy myself some cool shit, you know? But yes. And so that's kind of my experience with therapy and why I started, and kind of my whole process. Sorry, it was so freaking jumbled. Like, holy God. Holy God. I don't know what that was. Um, but yeah, if you guys can tell, I'm like super scattered right now. And so is my hair. It's getting a wash tomorrow, guys. Don't worry. It is gross, but like, it's not as gross as it looks. So yeah, just a side tangent. But yeah, and like my head is like, ugh, like it's like pounding out of my head, you know? When you just have those headaches going on, that's me right now. And my eyes are burning me, so I should probably end this soon because, like, not doing the best physically. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun to talk about it when I'm feeling not the best, because like I feel like I could give a more raw experience. But yeah, let me know if you guys do have any questions about therapy, because I would be more than happy to answer it. And I'm also super happy that I am able to talk about it like more openly. And a little bit about that is I was super scared to tell my friends about it. Like, my family obviously knew because I live with them, and my family friends knew, my cousins, but my friends did not know. And those are the people I saw every day at school. And so in the beginning, I thought I would just have to put up like a fake face, or like a pretend face, like a fake mask, essentially, and just be happy because they can't know that I'm feeling this way. It's like, you think it's embarrassing, but it's not, because everyone feels it. And so when I did open up to my best friends, um, it was through text. Like, I was not gonna do that in person. Applause to you if you have done that in person, but your girl was and so it was an awesome conversation, and obviously it was uncomfortable. It was a little awkward because it was new to all of us too, communicating more about like our feelings and stuff. And we were just like 16, you know, having the time of our lives, just like la 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 fa la la, walking around at lunchtime. But yeah. And so I think I'm so grateful for my friends, for having good friends who did not walk away from me just because I told them my experience. But I also think it's important to have a therapist if you're dealing with this, because you also don't want to emotionally dump your friends and dump a bunch of trauma onto them, because that is not fair. That is not right. And so there's a fine line between like communicating to your friends about your feelings and then emotionally dumping them, trauma dumping. That is not a fun game, You don't want to be doing that shit. But yeah, super grateful for my friends because they've all stuck around and I love them so much. You know who you are, but yeah. And now currently with my therapy, I'm doing it bi-weekly like I said, and I'm planning to continue it this entire year. And then once I start university, I will be having insurance covering it. So that will be freaking awesome. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for today's episode. I hope you guys liked it. It was honestly super duper chaotic. But that's it for me today. It was a super chaotic diary, but I love you guys so much. Mwah. And I'll see you guys next week on Thursdays. Ta ta. Bye.